The beats were powerful and wise, but they're gone. And if there's gonna be some hope for us, then it's gotta be new. That Dutch boy loving Ginsberg unleashed his howl on the world when San Francisco was little more than a whisper. Kerouac Jack went on the road just 10 years after the war for wars to end ended. And Charlie Bukowski, be he beatnik or not, was just plain crazy for anybody's time period. They beat a societal corruption with pens and pounding passion drums. But the great writers like them, the ones before them, my Irish kinsman Yeats, a banker named T.S., an insurance salesman named Wallace, a doctor called William Carlos from Paterson in Jersey. All those writers wrote and lived for their times. They wrote words of fire to speak to the needs of their times. Today's times, today's needs, different. Neither for the better nor the worse, just different. These days of the age, quoting beats, won't address the older age's younger day problems. Problems like the world's soul, along with the soul in people, grown shrunken and atrophied, passion becoming mechanized. Problems like the youth, spending more time updating social networking status than exploring what's left of this smaller world, to seek out the places and people whose difference, not just in custom, not just in opinion, can teach them something about themselves. Youth struggling to find things that today are still worth feeling in awe of. Last week I heard a new writer declare the ancients spent their time looking up at the pointed lights that people knew were called stars. Before the alphabet came about, the ancients looked up while we looked down at our iPhones and iPods and iPads, at our copies of People magazine and Us Weekly, at TV shows called The Real Housewives, of places where you're either dirt poor or filthy rich. These days the stars are veiled behind a status quo society smug. Smug is similar to smog and fog. It obscures, it makes sick. Smug is the pollution made by arrogance. When people fall in love with the smell of the obnoxious gases the body's supposed to get rid of to harmony itself. These days are writers' largest problem, figuring out what is left in this world worth writing about. Some years ago in a town called Sunnydale with a D, I met a real boss and buff girl. She told me she didn't want a song to sing. All she wanted was something to sing about. All this writer's looking for, something that today is still a best-kept secret and worth writing about. The words it takes. I got some words for this page and a promise in my veins. I'm going out tonight, because all these centuries after it was first written, there's still something on the wind to chase. Guys, girls, men, women, honeys, darlings, and babies. Like the boss once sung, I'm no boy anymore, I'm a man. These words I'm throwing out into the air tonight are gonna take me to some promised land. There's a place between the space on this page where lives and dreams are lined. I haven't written no savior, nor a girl with a gold ring and a blue and pretty dress. Instead, there's just me and a bad case of old school blues. The only place to kick 'em, some lucky town I still haven't found. Tonight I've stepped out in some fresh laundered clothes with a set of faded black working boots and a worn down but good leather coat, 'cause I just can't wait anymore for tomorrow to come. When I was a young and naive poet, I thought reciting a Tolkien poem was the best spell to summon the girl of a full man's dreams. I also used to think tangible dreams were only found when I ran from one place to the next. I used to think the idea of family was always supposed to mean something before I could figure out what that something was supposed to be. I'm tired of the people who let their fears decide things for them, who create a bullshit boundary whose purpose ain't legit between themselves, other selves, and the any other kinds of interconnected selves. I'm tired of feeling a full moment like the world on fire, only to feel the blast of an ice age come blowing from my full of fear, dread, dead actions. I'm a ripped up inside with this sour sorrow for my dysfunctional kin, sorrow always turning to a swelling despair for a life feeling empty of some truly living kin. Love is many things, free ain't one of them. All I want to know is if anybody is still really alive out there, 'cause I'm feeling dead, not green and growing feeling, but ripe and rotten, black spotted from a yellow sun, old fruit tucked away in a forgotten pantry cupboard corner. I've roamed and stumbled from town to town, seeking the echo of my older footsteps. I walked into countless dive bars to see if there was anybody with some fire left. I met a guy clad in leather snakeskin boots who pointed me down a road paved with thunder. He told me at the end of that road I'd find what I was looking for, but when I walked to the end of that road, all I beheld was a walking pond, silver water facing me. All I saw in that pond was myself, not what I was looking for. I had a family I raised and nurtured, a family that lasted for generations before I came around, looking like a young summer birch. But that family I had faced too many drunk, wasted winters. I grew up on the wrong side of the tracks in Haystack. Somebody's never used and never wanted gutter trash. Springer would welcome me and my kin. All the women in my family hold the genetic predisposition to get knocked up before they're 21. The men, on the other hand, are all genetically predisposed to run. I don't want no go-betweens, in-betweens, or stale scenes, and I refuse to settle for anything less than some real thing. I want to know if people still trust each other, if they still got the guts to truly love one another. I want to know if my heart, this Cupid's chest, can grow young again. 'Cause my soul's old and that's fine, but this Cupid's chest wants a need to grow young tonight. I can write till the cows come home, fill books up with words easier than Moses or Shakespeare. But if you look at all the shit I say, you'll ask me just what it is I'm trying to say. You'll ask me why my words don't fight for the same space on today's page. My great Greek tragic flaw, my hubris, always wanting, hungering for too much. For example, my hunger is so great, a 21-year-old's good fucking warm bed for the night were never nearly enough to satisfy my soul's appetite. A great writing teacher always talked about the things reminding of the human condition, and I know damn sure that man was too genuine to be bullshitting. This brokeback mountain loving writing life teacher, more a man than my misogynistic hyped down and loaded up bastard excuse for a father. Another question I'm writing an answer to. What's it mean to be a man? Is it having a deep and low voice? Chiseled features with money in the bank and today's equivalent Rolls Royce? Does a man have a suntan? Does he usually go into a bar to flirt? Is he always ready with his dick's contingency plan? Does he work out at Gold's Gym? Crush a six-pack of Bud on his own personal total gin spent six-pack? Could I ever be a man so manly I could roundhouse kick Chuck Norris into space? Or is a man proven by Dumbledore's definition when you suffer from the bleed to death and never goes away pain, a never knowing the love of a strongly living family, of a person, for this man especially, an alive and true woman? Is that the kind of suffering that proves one's a man? My voice is weak and timid. It scratches at the worst moments. Like when I came to pick her up that one time when I was 17, just 17. When I saw her walk out onto her porch, I almost arrived. But I can raise this voice to an awe-filled, furious depth. I can spout off some words. If they kindle your fire, it proves we all still have some kind of it left. I ain't trying to give critiques with cliches or bore sentimentally. It's just sometimes I need to see some sappy sentimentalities. Sometimes I need to see some Jack Dawson freezing in the Atlantic for some Rose DeWitt Decatur. These days I especially need to see some rich assholes in a rowboat find enough heat in their veins to swing over and pick them up before either hypothermiates, so they both can see the Statue of Liberty, so they can make lots of babies and watch them grow. So one day, like the neighbors who fed me and my sister homemade cherry pies when we were kids, they'll die warm in their bed together. If you're a man, in every sense of our status quo society's backwards definition, you got no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. If you're a woman or a person used and abused by our corrupted sick society's definition, you know exactly exactly who and what the fuck I'm talking about. When I see people say with their voices, wear with the slogan on their shirts and asses, that slogan that love is free, it makes me want to bitch slap and word slap them across the face. Cause love is a whole mess of things, some good, some bad. The one thing among the many things love ain't is free. You want real love, you better be willing to pay the price. The truth of love's matter is this, love's true measure, how much you're willing to lose, the price you're willing to pay, in the name of some mirage cloaked as a vision. This poem is one of the full circle kinds, because of all the shit pot full of questions written, the questions I can't write out of the page, the questions my mind won't let me erase. Is there somebody listening? Is this a place where lives and people are nothing but nowheres? Or is there anybody still left alive out there? You guys rock. Have a great night. Thanks.